Whoa, it's Wulzy. Welcome back to another Geometry Dash building an extreme demon video. I got some nice ideas, man. I figured out an effect before recording and I'm feeling good about myself. I'm so excited, man. This level is probably my best piece of work I've ever put together. I really love what I did in the last episode with the electricity and the overlay, and I have a very nice open canvas for this next ship part, which I've put these blocks in for. I'll play the speed build now. I'm starting this video with a quick speed build of some base objects for the ship part, as it's pretty mindless. It should be noted though that I've extended some of the objects down for a little bit of variation with our primary structures here, and quite the distance too, as you can see, so the effect I'm about to make works seamlessly. I don't want to risk any objects cutting off when they move. I love this overlay I used last time with the glow and stuff. It's so clean. Anyway, what I need to do is make every solid object that I've placed so far invisible, because I am really going in with the parallax effect I want to make. That's right, parallax. I can't believe that I have never actually learned and used this effect before. It is so useful. So I'm going to place an invisible center point right here that has group parent ticked. So anything I select alongside that will actually be centered around that point. See, this would normally calculate the midpoint and place the scaling bar over here, but as you can see, it's centering around the leftmost object because it has group parent checked on it. Very handy tool. Okay, next, I need to make sure that all of these objects are on B2. That's fine, I guess. Don't fade, don't enter. I guess I can enter, actually. It can have the block transitions on the side. I've set that to -1. We can honestly link this together. I don't think that's going to be a problem. And it's going to copy the object color. Nice. So now I'm going to select these objects and the center point, copy paste, and I'm going to scale down to 0.98. And that shifts some blocks more than others. As you can see, it's gradually getting further and further away from the original block, but that's fine. The Z order needs to decrease by another -1. You can see the effect in the background. It's already happened. It's already added a layer. And I'm going to decrease the brightness by about 0.04, something like that. I mean, it looks okay. Do I need to change it any further? Okay, sure, that looks fine. -0.08. Cool. Let me put this on a new editor layer. I'm gonna give these objects the next free group, which is 151. Then I select the center point again. I copy paste, scale down another 0.02, and repeat the process with the decrease in the Z order and the decrease in brightness and the group as well. Don't forget the group. Just gonna repeat this process a little bit more, and it should end up looking a little bit messy in the editor. How far do I want to go with this? That's the question. You can see the 3D effect already happening. I guess I just keep going until the brightness is at a point where this is just going to slink into the shadows. I mean, it's going to start getting a bit object intense though, which is a little bit worrying. So I'm probably going to set these to high details starting from now. Okay, so that marks 10 extra layers beneath the regular block, and I think that's where I'm going to stop. Our center is 150. I got to go ahead and delete the rest of them that I created just there. Now, 150 is going to lock to the player's X and Y position, which is a really ballsy move for a parallax, but, you know, it should be fine. Then, I don't know why I clicked on the spawn trigger, we need the follow trigger. Starting with 151, following 150, and I'm going to set both of these to 0 to start off with. I don't know the exact reasoning for the X and Y mod that I'm going to be using, but I'm pretty sure it's just the difference in scale that I've got. That's how it works for this effect anyway. So I have tested it out, and it does seem to work in my favor. If I have the first layer, which is a 0.98 scale, to be a 0.02 mod of X, right? And Y, because we're moving on the Y. And I just increase that by 0.02 each time for each number, I believe. It's kind of crazy, but it works. I don't know why I'm trying to explain the follow trigger when I don't 100% understand it. Hold on. There might be an information box. Meh. Thanks, Rob Top. I will say he makes a very good point with the follow group ID only allowing a single object for the center, or the ID that it's following, because when I was testing that out, I got tripped up there. Okay, all of the follow triggers are set up. This is the moment of truth. Ayo, it's working. I now have a 3D effect that's kind of following the player. I think that's awesome. Hopefully saving a few objects just by snipping a couple of ones that don't actually make it onto the screen. Just saved like 2K objects. If I just go into the editor and play this with follow player turned off, you can just see the whole perspective shift around the center point that I've placed onto the player. I think it's so cool looking, and it makes sense now why it's so spread apart on the other side. For the follow triggers, it will work as long as the difference between your X and Y mod on each is the same. So I've got the consistent 0.02 increase, and that's what makes it shift at the same rate as one another. Like, the layers are evenly spaced apart, right? Okay, so this is our base layer, and these are all of the layers behind. I need to make a change to this, because yes, they fade into darkness. However, if I was to put a background behind this, you'll be able to see the dark layer. You see how it just gets obscured and you can see the back layer really awkwardly? So I'm going to make a new color channel which copies the color of the object with blending. I'm going to reduce the opacity to like quarter. It's not quite as powerful as I would have hoped. Okay, then the alternative is to set this back up to full and make an alpha trigger for every layer so it just gradually goes invisible. That's probably the best way to do it. That's the way I was doing it with the brightness, obviously. When I had the brightness, I was making it go gradually towards black. I feel like if I use opacities in the same way, this is going to be fine. Oh, it's still on blending. Whoopsie. There we go. That's going to work a lot better. Maybe I could add some pulses for the object color. That would be really cool if I could get it to like a green or something. I love how I'm able to cycle through green so easily. I'm definitely going to try and mix it up with some oranges and stuff too. Now, this is vibey. I can get behind this for sure. And I love that flashy look to it too. Ooh. That's just a bunch of black pulses. That's really weird. I think on the drum here, I'm going to make it a light blue just to mix it up from that darkness for a second. Like that, even though it's slightly off sync. Is this better? Yeah, that's fine. Since my structures are casting such a strong color, I had a little difficulty finding a background that would work well with my color choices in the level. My first idea was to set out these lines that had very slight movements with the player, hoping that they'd suit the parallax's dynamic. Here's how that went. I'm gonna save and play. Hopefully this looks fine. I don't actually know how this is gonna look. It looks kind of lame. My next attempt was at a wavy background, with multiple different layers and opacities that move at different speeds, and this failed due to my objects overlapping each other, which made it look super patchy instead of elegant like I intended. It's a shame that this didn't work, because I tried pretty hard to make it work, and it just failed completely. Oh god, this is hideous. Also, here's a failed effect that I recorded a few days prior to this recording session. My idea was to have a few spliced circles that rotated in the center, but this did not work the way that I expected it to, and despite my efforts to salvage it, nothing came to fruition. Question mark. Scale up this line to around 7, 8 maybe. On the object color, and it needs a new group 162. And it also needs a new moving group because the one I've got is locking to the y-axis and I don't want that. So 163 is just gonna lock on the X on its own. And this line is gonna be object colored. It's gotta be don't fade, don't enter because it's a background and I don't want any block transitions on it. It's also gotta be really far below the actual blocks on B2, but above the backdrop that runs on B3. This thing right here. B4? Really? Oh, this thing. Yeah, that's B3. So anyway, we have this huge line, and it needs to be low opacity, so I'm going to set an alpha trigger up way before this part ever starts. Got to be low opacity. I think a 0.2 will do. Wait, do I want this to be blending? I think I do. And I'm going to copy paste this line and match it up with itself on the bottom edge like that. So there's no seam. If I overlap it even slightly, you can see there's an overlap, but if I just have it right next to it, there's nothing. And that is pretty much all I gotta do. Apart from just copy pasting this out, making sure there's no overlap when I'm connecting it to itself. Every so often, I can delete the rightmost object and just flip this over backwards and vertically and then meet it up like so on the other side. So we got a kind of slanted looking jagged object here. That should honestly do for the first layer, which is going to be 165. I'm going to link that together real quick so I can just click on it and select the whole thing. And then I'm going to make extra versions of it, which are going to go in the same Z order. It's blending, so it doesn't actually matter. Okay, so we have a jagged line here. Then we need to make extra movements at the bottom, starting with 165, that move each layer slightly more than one another. I think the first layer is going to move minus 100, then we can increase it by about 80 blocks per layer, and it ends at 172. I've kind of just done this on a whim. I haven't calculated anything to do with it. At this point, it's just whatever happens, happens. And the last layer we added, 172, needs to be 660. I mean, we have a blurring effect. However, it was such a low opacity that I just couldn't even see anything. There we go. We have one. And this is kind of making a mirrored effect, which I wasn't really expecting. It's not quite what I wanted, to be honest. It's not even centered in the screen as well. Okay. This definitely has a lot of work to go. I feel like for each copy of this, there needs to be a reverse version version. Here is a masterclass in repair work with Wulzy, ladies and gentlemen. This is how you can save your dead effect. Okay, we have the first version, 165 here. We're gonna give that a group 173, then copy paste, flip it upside down, go to the next editor layer, and give it 175? Where's 174? I don't see a 170. We're just gonna rock with it. I can't derail my train of thought. I just gotta keep going. Okay, next, we give this 176. We copy paste it, flip it upside down, put it on the next editor layer. Okay, so we're making two versions of this, and they're gonna toggle on and off, but it's gonna be weird. I don't know how I feel about this. I am quite nervous, and I'm eating up a lot of groups by doing so, but I feel like this might be worth it. I gotta remember while I'm doing this, any new even group that I add is the regular way up, and any odd number is the other way. This is extremely important for my procedural thinking. So I had 173 to start off with. That's the anomaly to the pattern. That's gonna get toggled 2 blocks in, and then 175 is gonna be activated, and then that needs to be deactivated, and this needs to be activated. So it's gonna be a little toggle loop like that, which is flipping the way that the jagged line that I made is oriented. Can make this a little bit faster just by selecting these row by row and increasing the numbers by 2 in each box every time. Okay, cool. Now I just need to copy paste and fill this out. But then you realize, hold on, this is going to make all of these layers happen at the exact same time. So what I do is I grab the bottom corner, and this is the most ridiculous thing. I am going to move these up a little bit and just rotate every single one of them down like this. Oh my god. Is it gonna work? Let's have a look at our little line here. What? What? Why isn't that working? Oh, it does in game. It does in game. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, because there's so many layers on top of themselves that you just can't even see it happening. Okay. And I'm going to change the way that the alpha trigger works here. It's still going to be on low opacity, but it's going to be separate per layer. So I can make individual adjustments. So at this point, I can make 165 go to full opacity again and have a movement. That's not 1. It needs to be 10. And then maybe wiggling around a little bit. Okay, so once I repeat the stages in that process, it's actually not even that bad looking. Okay, I'm gonna add huge glow pieces behind the orbs and stuff, just so they stand out, because I'm noticing that the background is kind of clashing with some of the objects that are there. Because this background's kind of cool, but I don't want it to affect the readability. Scale it down to 2 times for the pads. Okay, that makes it a lot more readable, and a bit more shady, honestly, which is kind of what I'm going for in this part. Uh-oh. Oh god, this is a story for another episode. I've deleted a center point somewhere. Yowie, that's bad. Okay. About that, I might have just sacrificed the first part for this, and this part isn't that good, but we can definitely make it work in another episode. Oh no, dude. How did I do that? How does that even happen? It doesn't feel right ending the video right now, but my brain's fried. Thank you so much for watching this Geometry Dash building an extreme demon video. I'm sorry for breaking the first part. I will fix it in the next episode, I swear. Check the links in the description, leave a like and subscribe, and have a good day. I'm not gonna have a good day. I'm not.